Good morning, everybody. Merry New Year. Hold on, let me give you the fancy opening, and then we'll get to it. I really am shooting for 8:15. I know it doesn't look that way, but I really am. Oh, we got to have the fancy music. Let's get some fancy music. Where's that? Christmas pack. Hold on. What was the Christmas pack earlier? Oh, you want the fancy 30 seconds? Well, we're not doing the fancy 30 seconds today. You're not getting that. I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to happen. Hold on. Yay! No fancy 30 seconds today. I'm sorry. Oh, I think there's a background we can do though. Hold on. I just found all these backgrounds. This is kind of exciting. Crazy night. What's that one do? Does that do something? Oh, that's a lot of May coming at you. Ooh. Hold on. Let's get rid of May. Yay. Fancy. This one's fancy too. That's Halloween. Hold on. Here's another Christmas. Yay. That's spooky. I just found all these. I can do stuff on them internets. Upside down. Oh, that's Halloween. Merry icons. All right, let's use that one. I like that. It's festive, right? I don't think you can see it once we put the chart up, but we'll know it's there. We'll know. What do you got for me? 8:30 already. Jesus. All right, let's stop with the nonsense. Merry New Year, everybody. Merry freaking New Year. All righty. Sorry, guys. All right, let's get to it. A couple things. So AGQ. All right, to start with, why is this down? You have margin requirements that started up again. And those margin requirements are 100% in the face of, hey, we don't want you buying silver. Hey, we don't want you buying gold. Hey, we don't want you anywhere near any of this stuff because delivery is going to be a freaking nightmare. It is very, very clear. I think there's another one that you guys crazy kids can do. This is ultra short. Someone mentioned this yesterday. I tend to find the bigger dog and then short the bigger dog. But if you don't like shorting stocks or the vehicle that you're in, you can't do it. This will wind up insisting upon itself. I don't think this is the dumbest idea in the world. Now, people would look at this and say, you're out of your mind. But you're not looking to marry it. You know, what you're thinking or what I'm thinking is that as this compounds upon itself, you know, I think you can get back to 10. I mean, it's 100%. I do think you have a shot at that. Silver's not going to stay here. You know, as they de-risk silver, and they are de-risking it by increasing the margin requirements, you'll have no issue but to put yourself in a position here, but to put it in a position where, how can I say this? You're forcing people to sell. That's the best way to say it. Like if your margin requirements are 50%, now they're 100%, you're hosed, right? Like people get that, don't they? All right, cool. So this is going to be the big trade of the day. If we went here and just looked at this and you can see where it's at, you can see the majority of time green's on top. When red gets on top, it means stop. So red was on top and then it kind of gave you this little wonky, you know, your dreams are going to be just fine. And now it's telling you not so much. So you're starting to get a different structure in this trade than you've had before. And you should be able to see that structure. Sometimes if you can't see the structure, I'll do this. And I'll just look at it and say, am I seeing different structure? And you would be like, yeah, I am seeing different structure where, you know, the volatility of these moving averages is pretty insane compared to what we had for all of December. You'd have to agree with that, right? I'm mimicking something more like we had back here, but I digress. I think that's super important to get. And, you know, we'll kind of go from there. So other than that, what else do I think is really significantly important? Let's go through the ES here and do this, and then I'll open it up to questions. I just want to show this, you know, and I do look at this. You know, when red's on top, what's it mean? Stop, right? And it goes for anything. And it's not like I'm the brightest bulb. That's why they're colored. So I can see it very clearly. Pardon me. I can see it very clearly. Red, yellow, green. When green's on top, green means what? Go. So green on top, go. Red on top, stop. Again, not the brightest bulb. So, and if you really just want to even take out, like this is the 5, if you took out the 5 and you looked at that and you just did trades off of that, you'd be amazed. Like you're going to get your false positives for sure. But when you really see the structure, it's like really hard to miss, especially when they're violent. So you just kind of want to watch how that plays out. But anyway, if we look at this on a 15, let's go to a 5. And we have the same levels right here. And I'm not, for time's sake today, I'm not going to redraw them. We are shooting for 8:15 on Friday. I'll definitely be here. But yeah, I don't know that you're going to do anything of consequence today. I think today's a great day to like set your goals and get a nice cup of coffee and read a book and not do anything dumb. And I also think it's a great day to look at the market and say to yourself, you know, what I think today's a great day to say to yourself, like, what am I trying to accomplish in 26? And then like, what are they going? And then if you look at it from a different perspective, I would also view it as how are people going to treat their taxes in 2026 on Friday? Like what are the majority of people looking to do? I think looking at the world that way is definitely extremely helpful. And I'd suggest that you review it that way. There's a couple of things I see brewing this morning, and we'll talk about that as well. But if we look at like the ES, you're right on that level. I don't think you're going to break 6,900 or anything today. I just don't see it that way. I don't see a lot of people doing anything. I mean, candidly, you know, we don't have a lot of people in the room today. Even when I did the private pre-market this morning, I didn't see a lot of people, you know, probably half of what we normally see. So I think most people are riding it out till Friday for positioning and then really getting back into the groove on Monday. And that just presents opportunity for us, you know, as people just, you know, want to be, you know, not play the game. That's fine. But again, we got to this moving average or VWAP, and let me show you what that is so that you can see it for yourself. What we'll have to do is go to the 4 instead of just playing the game there and just going way back. So that is your peak VWAP. I can't stress enough, you don't want to break that. You really don't. And I just want to be really clear about something. I'm going to take, well, let's do it this way. What I'm going to do, I'll do this with it because I think that was the highest out of them, right? Wasn't that the highest? Yep. Oh, no, that is. So let's take this one out. All right. But they're all there. So we can just leave them in, right? And then this one should fall right in the same space. Yep. So you do not want to be breaking this area because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, crap. But, you know, that's, I guess, the technical term. But more important about that than anything is this. And I'm going to take all this off now. Well, let's do it this way. Let me show you a 5 again. So they're all hitting in that area. But do you really think you're going to break this today? Probably not. Now, I've got some things that are really bonking around, and that's going to get me up to that 80 basis points if I got there today. I mean, you could do that today. That is a possibility. I'm not sure I'm on the right mic. Sometimes it jumps mics. And I'm more interested in, I don't know why you're doing that. I wonder if that EKSO did a secondary. I should look into that. Anyway, if I take a look at this, I definitely think it's something worth paying attention to, and those levels are worth paying attention to. I'm curious about this though. Here, let me show you this, and then I'll get to it. And then, did I take that? Fell off. But I talk. Something wicked this way comes, guys. So the question is, you know, everyone's like, oh, we're going to rally. You know, I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying you really want to, you know, you really want to hang your hat on that. You sure about that? You ever see that guy? You sure about that? You better, like, that's vicious. And, you know, the question is, are they waiting till Friday to sell? Oh God, Are they waiting until Friday to sell their winners? And that's what's keeping the market up. Tax harvesting is real. So, you know, I don't know. You always got to take both sides of it and figure it out. So you got to take both sides of that. You can't say, you know, it's going to happen. I had someone doing that to me today. But, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine like super early this morning, and he like loves Tesla. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you know, robots in space, he's going to create the robots, and they're going to harvest the minerals from the asteroids for all eternity, and it's infinity. Or maybe you can just make a car, you know, go around Austin and turn it into a robo-taxi, maybe just one. My bet was that you didn't have 7 by the end of the year that were fully functional 24/365 throughout the whole city of Austin. That was my bet. Guess who won? Me, like always. All right. Anyway, so if we take a look at this, right, you're boxed in. So I don't think there's any great mystery here. I don't think you should think about it anything more than that. Like, this is what you have. And you have to be asking yourself, like, are we going to see the same level of growth? Is the growth changing? Are they going to sell a lot of these tech names and they're just waiting to January and then you have to ask yourself the next question. After the January sell off, is that just tax harvesting or not? So there's a lot of questions that are going to get answered on Friday. And you know, if you're not playing the game on Friday, I don't know, I can't help you. But you should really be thinking about, like, how am I playing the game on Friday? Am I going to watch this? Even if you don't trade, you want to watch Friday's actions. Like, people are like, oh, I'll take off. Well, you go ahead, take a little nap. I'll be here trading. But you really want to watch that, and you really want to watch the behavior of what are the institutions doing? What are the big guys doing? Are they selling the stuff, locking in the gains now? Are they positioning themselves? You know, there's a lot of moving parts. If we were to look at the same levels here on the Qs, and I think you should be planning this way. Like, you have a put wall that's down here. That's cool, right? We all know we're probably not going to break that today. And we all know we're probably not going to break 630 today, you know, barring world peace. And we're not exactly swimming in world peace. So then the question, Boach, you know, what's really the trade? I think the trade's really the copper and the silver and the gold. And I think you should be on both sides of that trade. I think utilities is the trade too. But that's just me. You should do what you're comfortable with. I have utility positions. I haven't even had to worry about them. Like, I haven't even had to think about them. But if I look at something like like the Qs here, I'd be careful. Like, I wouldn't just assume that everything's going to be rosy. Like, we do look better, but we're not really breaking here. I'll show you this because I'm not going to do a video tonight. But when we look at these levels, like, watch this. But wait, there's more. And I said I'd take questions, and I will. But if I clean this off, right, let's get rid of the pre and the post and just look at the cash market. And there is a advanced decline for the NDX, and I think it's that Bushi guy that did it. And I actually think I have it in here, but like, that's not solved. You know, that's not solved at all. A matter of fact, you're getting let's go to the magnet, right? Like, this is not solved. Like, don't get it twisted. Oh, make sure that you subscribe here. Click on notifications. Make sure you get the newsletter, the free one, because we're going to roll out a free service. I'm going to test a real Squawk Box because the ones that are out there suck. And it's going to be free for a period of time while I test it out so I can work out the kinks. But if you look at that, like 630 to 600, I mean, like, you're boxed in there, and people are like, well, that's a big range. It's not that big. You know, it's like, what, 4%, 5%? Like, that's going to make a decision. And that could just get tighter and tighter. And I think that's an issue. I think I set this up. And if I did, I'll grab it. Yep, perfect. I did. Open anyway. in front of you is the NDX, and this is the advanced decline line on the NDX. Okay, work with me. All right, work with me today. I'm in no mood for your nonsense. And I just think it's important to point this out. Like we're the NDX, it's not rallying. Like the breadth of the market is sitting there. You know, one could actually argue it's perfect. Like it's actually making the lower low with the market, right? Like you can see that, right? So there's definitely that. But wait, there's more. Like watch the New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange is just a honey badger, right? You're just rocking and rolling, hitting new highs. Very different. So, you know, whenever you see that, you have to pay attention to it because that usually means the market's going to, you know, shift a little bit. And you want to be careful there. You just want to be a little careful of it. So I'm leaning more towards some of the value names off the open in 26. I guess we're turning this into like more of a thought process. And the way to look at that is always do this. This is the easiest one. You take VUG, which is growth, and you divide it by VTV. Come on, work with me. VUG. Come on, Boomer. Press the T. There it is. If you look at growth versus value, you'll see it right here. Like, where's both growth? I was going to say both versus value. Growth versus value. Where is it gone? Like, growth is not leading. Far from it, right? And so you would say, well, what's the value? And then you go, well, XLV's value. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Well, what's growth? I don't know. Let's take a semiconductors. Oh, okay. And then you would look at that, go, wait a minute. You're telling me that semiconductors and healthcare companies since like October, it didn't matter? Yeah, it didn't matter. Go wrap your noodle around that. So like from September 30th on, there's no difference on your performance, whether you're buying a you know, growth company or you're buying you know, United Healthcare. Like just from a sector standpoint, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Anyway, all right, kind of went off script, but it is what it is. I think it was worth it. I was short silver. I've covered the most of it. I think I'm 100% hedged right now, so I don't know if I'm going to stay completely hedged or not, but it is what it is. NVIDIA bought somebody. Everyone's all excited. Okay, I don't really care, but you know, the stock's up like $2, so that's good. I got that going for me. I take questions. Yeah, I mean that's just it. Maybe you know, you have to really. You know, there's the thing about him. Like he's the exact opposite, really, at this point. You know, over promise, under deliver. That only works so long, dude. That only works so long, and you know, all this new things coming out. Okay, like you can literally go buy a Cybertruck, I think, on the auction market for like 40 grand. You know, when you start really going through this, like really going through it, it's like, okay, like here's July, and don't just pick a random day. Here's July 23. Okay, you did 25 billion. All right, then you go July 25, 22 billion. Okay, so I just picked a random one. You can pick any one you want. All right, so I was doing 25 2 years ago, and now I'm doing, hold on, let me find July. All right, now I'm doing 22. All right, so I'm down sequentially 10% in revenue from 2 years ago, and I'm trading 100 times earnings. What he's done the best job of is creating a cult of followers that are not going to sell it because they're like, yay, Elon, and you know, super robots. And I get it. Like you're betting on future cash flow. You know, I think people have to take a look at this and go, in 23, you're at $100. I'm not saying that you're not going to stay up here, but when I start looking at stuff like this, like from a technical standpoint, and I start going, okay, well, here's that peak, you know, here's this peak, here's that peak. So I'm at the same peak, right here. Okay. And then when I look at it, this time I was here, that time I'm here. So this time I'm here, that time I'm here. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I think that, I can be one of the greatest pumpers of all time, but like, I'll just buy it back at 200. Oh, it'll never get there. Okay. So, I just think you need to be super careful right now with this name. If the market comes in, this thing's going to get destroyed. It'll be the first. And, as always, we'll see what happens. The other thing that's going to happen, I think, with him and Tesla is when SpaceX comes out, he's just going to jump to the new thing and talk about the new thing. So I'd be the best beatboxer of all the beatboxers. So okay. I mean, could you imagine actually getting up in the morning to come in here to type in the name of your channel? Like, what a loser. God. You could just be studying charts and winning. It's so sad. So sad for people sometimes. Twilio, deck. The rocket's so interesting because everyone feels the same way about that trade. Everyone keeps looking and going, oh, well, mortgages, this has got to go higher. I mean, I kind of agree, but it just isn't. So you have this massive cup and handle here, and I get it. People are like, no, mortgages, it's got to go higher. I don't think people understand how much mortgages need to be cut in order to spur that. I don't think people truly get the amount of damage that Powell did to homeowners. Like, I don't think that that people really get it. He literally was like the worst chair, like ever, like ever. And, he raised rates faster than any time in history. And then people are going, oh, it's the affordability. It's Trump. No, man, your 30-year mortgage 2 years ago was 3%. It's 7% now. Like, you go think about the amount of house that you can't buy now. And there's only one reason for it. I don't know. But I like this trade. I don't know, man. I think people need to be really careful right now on a lot of fronts. So, you're going to get a new Fed chair, but he doesn't make the decision. They have to get a whole bunch of people in there to agree with him. So understand that, I think there's a ton of risk there, a ton. I actually think that stuff like AGQ, like I just don't want to do it because it's New Year's, but something like this might become a perma short for me real soon. Maybe next week, but I'm getting there, like where I just leave these shorts on and I let them work. Sometimes you get to those where even things like, I'll show you this one. Like this was just a perma short. Everyone loved it. And then you just get to a point where you find a spot, you can just leave it on. A lot of these things become that. Like here's LABD. It was just a perma short. Like, oh, this thing, LABD, oh, these things are going to fall out of bed, 160 to 23. Like you just make so much money shorting these things. But you have to have the ability to do it. I remember when I shorted, I was going to tell you this. I remember when I shorted this in the community and I'm like, I'm short. And people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm short. I'm going to short this. I think it was this bar where we did it. It wasn't this one. It was this one. And then like, I'm shorted. And like the next day, everybody was like so panicked because like, obviously it opened up and I'm like, well, this is the stop. And I'm short. I'm going to stay it. And then if it hits here, I'll just close it. And then like people, you can't handle it. Like a lot of people can, because they oversize it. But a lot of people can't really stay short something that goes from like 100 to 40. And then, the next day you close at like 70 and you're reevaluating your life choices. And then the next day it opens at like 76. And you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? And you're like, oh, it's 67. Well, at least I made something. Right. And then you look like from that day, April to all the way over to May. And you're like, okay, well now it's 29 and you're out of the short. And now it's 5. So You have to go through the rough patch with it. I did this recently with RGTX, and it was the same cancel. It was the same thing. I shorted it in here, and I'm like, man, this thing's so screwed. Shorted it like 250, and I think it did a 5-for-1 split or something, and which is probably the equivalent of like $50. So it was like 200 points. Some of these things they're just absolute utter pigs. Speaking of pigs, like all this stuff's going to blow up, like BMNR and SBET. I think MSTR should be super interesting to watch on Friday. I think that'll be a super interesting one to watch on Friday, by the way. Happy New Year. Hi, Rebecca. Happy New Year. Thank you. Hobbs Rocket. I don't know, man. I think you guys are onto it, but I really think they got to cut rates a lot more. I will say this. All we heard was how bad this was, like the FOMC. And as much as I'm hearing how bad it is, they're out there buying some things this morning. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because they are out here and they are out here buying things. And I think some of these value names, based upon rates, I think people are crazy to not look at them, like absolutely out of their mind. That's just my opinion on them. Like that's curling. That's definitely setting up here. MO, obviously other like, oh, the profits are bad. It's like, okay, did they cut the dividend? So wake me when that starts to happen. But like BTI, all this stuff, like they just keep grinding. So, I don't know. I always look at this kind of stuff like, why wouldn't I just buy this stuff and leave it alone? But I think they're going after the value names. I think that's where this is all going. That's where I'm going with this. I don't know that I want to buy like the real here. I know you're in love with that site and you're buying all kinds of crap off of it. But the question for me really with interest rates is, are they going to drive rates down low enough that people can buy houses again? And I don't know the answer to that. I really don't, because people that are in their houses are locked in their houses with those rates. And those rates are insane. And they're never going anywhere. So I think it's going to take a whole generation of people to kind of figure out that they're never going to see 3% again. And that generation that got it, they'll be talking about 40 years from now and going, remember when you get a mortgage for 2%, 3%? Like, that's what people are going to be talking about more than anything, I think. I don't think you're ever getting there again. When you look at like Fed funds, like people don't get this like at all. Where do you want to reduce this? I don't think so. Let's leave that on. I don't think people get that from 09 to 15, and then everyone said, "Oh, I'm going to stop buying mortgage. I'll wait." And then they came in here. Like you have a whole. I mean, from 2010 to 22, basically people had zero. Like, I don't think people understand that that's not normal. Like, this was normal for us, all this. And then all of a sudden you had the great financial crisis and that was it. So, when you look at something like this, I don't know that they'll let me do an average on it. Will they? No. I could do it this way. And let's go to the 0. So if you look at it from the point, your mean is 9.6% historically since 55. So, people don't understand how cheap the money is here still. And people are just looking at the housing and everything else. So I don't know. It's a real thing. And I don't think people get it yet, but I keep waiting for it too, guys, but I don't know. The home builders are still suffering. I could buy a home builder. Good morning, Journal. I could buy a home builder I think it was, I could buy a home builder last week for like under book, right? So, I mean, some of these names are still, they're like still near book value. So, not that one. Where was it? THL. Use your words. So, I think some of this stuff, TMO, I'll find it. Oh, hold on. I'll find it. Some of these though, they're still trading their book value. It's kind of crazy. Happy New Year. I think it's more about the tax planning right now and what do these crazy kids do? Pardon me. What do these crazy kids do? That's what I think it's more about. Like, what are they really going to do? Then I really think that's where it's going. I think that's kind of the focal point. Like, what are they going to do January 2nd when we open? I really think that's how you have to think about it. Happy Wednesday. Less is more. That should be that. No soup for you. I don't know. Am I grumpy? I could be. Oh, you're welcome, buddy. Keep using it. Don't use it once. Study what works and keep doing it over and over again. What's up, man? I don't know. Aren't they a China-based solar company that now has control of 20% of the world's silver? Oh. Not in 10 seconds. I think you need to think about it this way. You need to think about what is the borrow? How much can they borrow? I think that's how you need to think about it. How much can they really borrow? And kind of go from there. And then also you have to think about the physicality. People don't understand that there's a physical borrow, that you physically have to deliver a futures contract. I believe that. I know. I think it's just going to be me doing it. All the slurping, all the slurping. You have issues. I'll get emails from people. They'll be like, "I was listening to you, but then you drink coffee." I'm like, "Bro, do you know how much time it took you to like sit down and write that email? Like, you literally sat down and thought, I need to tell him that I stopped listening because of your slurping noises." Like, that's what you're doing with your time? Like, how much time do we all have? And you just wasted like 5 minutes of your life. And then you planned it all out too. I'll write this. I'll show him. Yeah, but don't they have that fund over there, that China silver fund? I like the profile pic. Don't they have that silver fund over there that is trading at like 62% over premium? And they're all levered, they're all levered to the hilt on it because it's the only one. So property taxes are theft. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think everybody should just force an audit of their local government and not pay taxes until it's done. But that's none of my business. Yeah, but someday we're going to have a robot, and and that robot's going to be on an asteroid. Do you have a robot asteroid company? I mean, you got to give it to him. Like, look, dude. I mean, the guy's sickly brilliant. Like, you got to give it to him. I mean, him trying to explain something to me is like talking to a caveman trying to light a fire. Like, I get it, but at some point, at some point, it's like, okay, well, when's this coming? Oh, here, look at Kim Kardashian standing next to the robot. It must be real. And then everyone goes, oh, it must be real. You know, just trade it. That's all I do. I think it is one of the most overlooked names, bro. Pink Panther. Does your dog bite? No. That is not my dog. I think this is one of the most overlooked names, and I don't get it. It's the only U.S. owned and only U.S. operated foundry. And for some reason, they keep like feeding Intel. Like the gang that can't shoot straight. I bet you if they throw that money at Sky T, they'll be popping out NVIDIA chips. I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. You have GFS, but GFS is owned by UAE. No offense, like against UAE, but it's not owned and operated by the US. They make chips for they think about calculators, things like that. What time is it? I'm going to have to jump here soon. Happy New Year. Merry New Year. You need policy changes, but it's always the same BS, dude. It's always, and we're going off on a tangent because it's New Year's, so whatever. But like, it's always the same. Oh, it's the greedy guy. We got to get those greedy private equity people. No, bro, you raised rates faster than any time in history. And you are stifling the ability of people to actually build new houses through so much regulation. It's insane. If you have friends and they're in California, go and talk to them about what they're going through to try to build their houses back after what happened. It's absolutely insane, the amount of red tape. I think there's like 6 that have been built since that happened, and they're not finished. It's absolutely insane, the amount of regulation that's out there. So I get it. Do I think that private equity companies should be allowed to buy houses? No, I don't think I think that. I think I agree with you on that. I do think that people have the right to also not invest in those companies that do that. Like, you don't have to buy an ETF. So people feed it, but no, I don't think they should be allowed to do that. I truly don't. I think they should be able to buy multifamily, but do I think they should be able to buy a single house? No. I don't really care about that. I saw that yesterday. What's up, Nest? I haven't seen you for a while. Hope things are well. I saw this yesterday. So Fairfax, that has a huge position in this, they're up to like 16%. It hit the tape yesterday if you look at it. And so you had a lot of option dudes out there playing that. I don't like playing $5 stocks. I think this guy could have been an absolute monster, and then he got into real estate in Baltimore. And I hate like judging these people, but but I guess I'm doing it. But when you have a golden goose that could take out Nike, and this is what you do, like what did you do to your company? I mean, they were like the cool company and everything and brand, and I don't know what he did. I don't know. I can't think of, I don't look at it. Well, technically it looks awful. I own it. I'm not selling it, but it looks awful. I think that the rich don't really care. Rich people don't it doesn't even affect them, because they like real rich people, it doesn't even affect, but because they're not doing it. They're just paying cash. We'll see. He can want anything he wants. He's not in charge of it. Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think that they should be able to buy a house and compete. Like, I don't think $1 trillion company should be able to compete with like, a husband and wife, and he's got a job. He's like a day laborer and she's like a nurse. And then they're like, okay, well, we got our mortgage and here's all our paperwork. And oh, BlackRock just offered 50,000 over that and they're paying cash. Like how are they going to compete with that? Like they're not. And that's going to drive up the housing. And then they don't care who they rent to. I've watched it destroy neighborhoods. My sister bought a house, dude, in when she first got married. This was years ago, like years and years ago. And then rental people started buying them, like people that wanted to rent them. Like it destroyed the neighborhood. I do agree with that, dude. I could hit the mute button, Mon. I just don't care. I think Oracle is going to have a decent day. I do. Went from Jersey in the attic. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. You're in love with that company. You have issues. I don't think you should be taxing assets. I think taxing assets is ridiculous. Let's do this. Before we tax anybody anymore, why don't we just have a full audit of where all the money's going? Why don't you just start there? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, I think it's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy what's going on. I agree with that, dude. I do agree with that. I think that's the one thing we all agreed on today. All right, that's it. I got to jump. I got to get ready for the day. Merry New Year, everybody. See you on Friday. Make good choices tonight. Back in the day.